Welcome back to our channel, where we explore the mysteries of the universe and the wonders of science. Today, we're diving into the world of time travel and the fascinating stories of those who have journeyed through time. From the prehistoric era to the medieval times, time travelers have experienced some of the most amazing moments in history firsthand. They've witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, met legendary figures, and even seen the dinosaurs up close. Join us as we explore the incredible tales of these real-time travelers, and uncover the mysteries of the past, present, and future. So buckle up, and get ready for a journey through time and space like never before. 1. John was a self-proclaimed time traveler who claimed to have been born in the year 2043. He had always been fascinated with history and decided to travel back in time to see it for himself. John was a bit of a recluse and kept to himself most of the time, but he had a small group of followers who believed in his story. One day, John decided to take his followers on a journey back in time to the year 1969. He led them to a quiet park in New York City and told them to close their eyes and concentrate. When they opened their eyes again, they found themselves transported back in time to the day of the moon landing. The group was amazed as they watched Neil Armstrong take his first steps on the moon. John explained to them how this event changed the course of history and inspired generations to explore the unknown. As the day progressed, John and his followers wandered around the city, exploring the sights and sounds of the past. They visited famous landmarks like the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty, and even witnessed the famous Woodstock Festival. Despite the awe-inspiring experience of time travel, John's followers began to question the authenticity of his story. They pointed out inconsistencies in his knowledge of the future and started to doubt that he was a real time traveler. In the end, John disappeared without a trace, leaving his followers wondering if he had been telling the truth all along. Some believe he simply got tired of the skepticism and criticism and decided to go back to his own time, while others think he was just a clever hoaxer. Regardless of whether John's story was true or not, his followers will always remember their trip back in time as a unique and unforgettable experience. 2. Samantha was a young woman who claimed to have the ability to travel through time. She had always felt like she was born in the wrong era and wanted to experience life in different time periods. One day, Samantha decided to take a leap of faith and travel back to the roaring 1920s. As she stepped out of the time machine, Samantha was immediately struck by the energy and excitement of the decade. She found herself in the midst of a grand party, surrounded by flappers in sparkling dresses, men in sharp suits, and the sound of jazz music filling the air. Samantha spent the next few weeks fully immersing herself in the era, attending extravagant parties, drinking cocktails, and dancing the night away. She even fell in love with a dashing young man named Thomas, who swept her off her feet with his charming personality and impeccable manners. As time went on, Samantha began to realize that living in the 1920s was not all glamorous parties and fancy dresses. She saw the stark contrast between the lavish lifestyles of the wealthy and the poverty and struggle of the working class. Samantha also witnessed the rise of prohibition and the increase in organized crime, which threatened to tear apart the fabric of society. Despite these challenges, Samantha cherished her time in the 1920s and felt grateful for the opportunity to experience a different time period. Eventually, Samantha knew it was time to return to her own time, but she couldn't bear the thought of leaving Thomas behind. In a bold move, she took him back with her to the present day, where they could start a new life together. Samantha's journey through time taught her valuable lessons about appreciating the present moment and valuing the experiences that shape our lives. 3. David was a scientist who had been working on a time machine for years. He was determined to prove that time travel was possible and was finally ready to test his invention. David decided to go back to the year 1900, a time of great innovation and progress in the world. As he stepped out of the time machine, David was struck by the stark contrast between the present day and the turn of the century. The streets were filled with horse-drawn carriages and people dressed in long skirts and top hats. David found himself fascinated by the inventions of the time, from the first automobiles to the early electric appliances. David spent the next few weeks exploring the city, visiting famous landmarks and observing the daily life of the people. He even had the opportunity to meet some of the great inventors and scientists of the time, including Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell. Despite his fascination with the era, David began to realize the limitations of the technology of the time. He saw how many people were struggling to make a living and how difficult life was without the conveniences of modern technology. David also became aware of the social and political issues of the time, including racial inequality and the early stages of women's suffrage. He saw the need for progress and change in the world and began to think about how his own contributions to science could make a difference. As his journey came to an end, David knew he had gained a new perspective on the world and the role of science in shaping our future. He returned to the present day with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to use his knowledge and skills to make a positive impact on the world. 4. Emily was a history buff who had always dreamed of experiencing life in the medieval times. With the help of a friend who was an amateur scientist, she decided to take a trip back in time to the year 1200. As Emily stepped out of the time machine, she was immediately struck by the smell of animals and the sound of clanging metal. She found herself in a small village surrounded by wooden huts and people dressed in simple clothing. Emily spent the next few weeks fully immersing herself in medieval life. She learned how to make bread, milk cows, and chop wood. She even joined a group of traveling merchants on their journey through the countryside, experiencing firsthand the dangers and hardships of travel in the Middle Ages. Despite the difficulties, Emily found herself enchanted by the simplicity and community of the medieval way of life. She made friends with the villagers and felt a sense of belonging in the tight-knit community. As her journey came to an end, Emily knew she would miss the medieval era and the friends she had made. However, she also realized the value of modern technology and the progress that had been made since the Middle Ages. Emily returned to the present day with a newfound appreciation for the comforts and conveniences of modern life, but also with a sense of nostalgia for the simpler times of the past. Her journey through time had taught her valuable lessons about the importance of community, self-sufficiency, and the need for progress while still preserving the wisdom and traditions of the past. 5. Alex was a nature lover who had always been fascinated by the prehistoric era. He had always wondered what it would be like to see the dinosaurs up close, and with the help of a scientist friend, he finally got the opportunity to travel back in time to the Mesozoic era. As Alex stepped out of the time machine, he was immediately struck by the vibrant colors and sounds of the prehistoric world. Giant ferns and towering trees surrounded him, and he could hear the distant roar of dinosaurs in the distance. Over the next few weeks, Alex explored the world of the dinosaurs. He saw massive herds of triceratops roaming the plains and witnessed a fierce battle between two T-Rexes. He even had the chance to observe a family of brachiosauruses grazing on the treetops. As he immersed himself in the prehistoric world, Alex began to realize the fragility of nature and the importance of preserving it for future generations. He saw firsthand how the actions of humans in the present day could have a devastating impact on the environment, and he resolved to make a difference in the world when he returned to the present. As his journey came to an end, Alex knew that he would never forget the sights and sounds of the prehistoric era. He returned to the present day with a renewed sense of purpose and a deep appreciation for the natural world. His journey through time had taught him valuable lessons about the importance of conservation and the need to protect our planet for future generations. Thank you. Bye-bye.